This is what
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's going to be the new Department of Health and Human Services Secretary of the USA, wants to fix America's food system.
Or Germans or Italians,
Hear him
or
out.
Japanese, or Koreans, or Australians, or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way. Until the early 1990s, our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then, suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate soared to the highest of any developed country on Earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we
I agree with him.
Sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm, and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen? A big part of it is our diet. Restaurants that serve contaminated food are fined or shut down.
The FDA
When
has
it's
been
the government that
infiltrated
approves the poisons in our
by
food,
some of the
a few
biggest
people get very, very
power
rich,
players
and
in the food
toxins
industry.
end up
How about
in every
that?
Supermarket aisle. Let me show you what I mean. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Captain Crunch, gummy bears. Everyone knows that these are junk foods, so maybe you wouldn't be too surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tatrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know is that this dye was originally made out of the sludge.
You got to go after the biggest power players in the food industry
It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued
that are allowing all these dangerous chemicals to be put into our food products.
Because it's so toxic and it's so harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then
no executive is too powerful.
Coal tar could be used to derive fabric.
They all need to pay the price
and if
and
fabric
fall.
dye, why not food? Food manufacturers began using it to cover up the discoloration of low-quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental
I love what
delays,
RFK Jr. is
neurological
saying.
Damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. In some countries, foods with tartrazine have a warning label that
Make
may
America
cause
healthy
ADHD
again.
in children. Today, it's made from petroleum, not coal tar. Either way, it's crazy to add this to your kids' favorite foods. It doesn't even change the flavor. This yellow dye isn't just in junk food. It's in the foods that we consider healthy. It's in everyday kids' snacks like popcorn, mac and cheese, fruit snacks. It's in sports drinks like Gatorade and so-called vitamin water. It's even added to chicken broth, to corn, to pickles, to mustard, and to yogurt. And so, of course, our kids get sick. And we lovingly...
You got to clean up the FDA, for sure.
Surprise, tartrazine. And so the cycle continues until the coughs and asthma kick in, at which point you go to pick up some cough syrup. And yeah, you guessed it, tartrazine. I've been picking on tartrazine.
And the other
today,
departments also have to be cleaned up. The ones that oversee the food, the entire food industry.
Allow into our children's food. I can make a video just like
and
this
pharmaceutical as
Red
well.
40, BHA, BHD, potassium bromate, chemical after chemical, and on and on and on. If just one of them can cause all of these problems, imagine what they're doing in combination. That has never been studied. If we took all of these,
and that
chemicals
includes
out,
cleaning up
our nation would get
the U.S.
healthier
Department of
immediately.
Agriculture.
We'd have fewer sick days. We'd have better focus. We'd have less anxiety. Our kids would learn more easily. We'd lose weight. We'd have more energy. We'd have fewer tumors and longer lives. It's not all dark. Over the past 16 years, the government has banned 8 chemical additives that cause cancer, genetic damage.
It's time for this to start going, to start happening.
And you know what's interesting?
It's about time.
8 of those crucial steps forward in our kids' health were
Hooray
taken
for
under
RFK
President
Jr.
Trump. But the Democrats who claim to be all about health care have stood by watching other countries ban these poisons and make our kids sick, asthmatic, hyperactive, and depressed. They left them on every supermarket shelf in America. They even used your tax money to put them in your kids' school lunch. So their big food and their big ag donors probably gave them all that golden handshake and the big money hug. And their big pharma donors probably called them up and thanked them also, because now they're going to make billions selling Adderall, Prozac, and rescue inhalers. Enough is enough. President Trump and I are going to stop the mass poisoning of American children. Together, we're going to make America healthy again.